Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to this week's installment of the Shit Nobody Tells You About Pain with your pain coach, Amy Eicher. I'm a best-selling author, and I help motivated men and women get out of pain through the use of education, movement, and self-discovery. Today, we're going to talk about why movement is the key to getting out of pain. It's the key to healing your chronic pain. Now, before you swipe away, turn off, scroll on to the next video, let me remind you that I experienced 20 years of chronic pain and have heard countless providers tell me that I would just be better off if I just exercised. And, I really just wanted to flick them off and be like, dude, I got hurt as an elite Division I swimmer. If I could swim, if I could exercise, I would be doing it, but I can't because everything hurts all the freaking time. So I get it. I get that you want to slap into the middle of next week the people that are telling you this. But I have a solution. Okay. So I get that you're frustrated. And you're frustrated, I think, because everybody tells you to exercise, but they don't tell you how or why. So let me start by saying, research, like the people that do all the research stuff, they have looked at core exercises, PT regime, PT, like assigned movement. They have looked at yoga and all of the things, and they've compared those things in studies, right? So they like anything versus yoga, anything versus specific core exercises, anything versus Pilates, anything versus running, anything versus, right, for pain. What the overwhelming evidence has found is that any kind of movement at all is better than specific movement that has been prescribed. That should be relieving to you, because the good news means, one, we don't have to do the physical therapy exercises that cause us pain or we think are stupid or don't make any sense, right? We don't have to do those as long as we are moving. Now, I take issue with the word exercise because it makes me think of things that I did as an elite athlete. And I am now 50 years old in the year 2024. And I'm never going to work out like that again. Having long COVID, which is really messing with me right now. Like, I debated not making this video because my brain is so fried. So please forgive me if I'm stumbling over my words. But I will never exercise like that again. My long COVID makes it impossible. So if you're thinking to yourself, but I used to XYZ for exercise, trust me, I get it. But if we think about it in terms of movement, I still move a lot. I love to garden. I love to do woodwork stuff. I love to redo furniture. I like to decorate my house. I like to go for walks when I'm capable. All of these things are still movement, and they're still good for me. They're good for you too. So here is why movement, all kinds of movement. We're done with the, if you like the word exercise, we can keep using that. But I'm talking about daily life movement. Cleaning your house usually gets your heart rate up. Gardening gets your heart rate up. Taking your dog for a walk, if you're me, gets your heart rate up. But you can do all kinds of things that aren't lifting weights or going for a run that are still beneficial to your body. So movement, exercise means something meaningful movement to you. Okay. It will improve your mood. It gives access to your body's natural pharmacy, which is one of the coolest things ever, really. It's not going to replace some of the medications that we're on, but it can definitely help. The dopamine, the serotonin, the norepinephrine, the endogenous opiates, all of those things help. Now, I will warn you, when we first start moving again, after we have been sedentary, after we have been non-moving, our bodies freak out a little bit and they're like, hey, what are you doing? And inflammation comes rushing into the body. When we keep moving, even if it's just a little bit, eventually our body goes, oh, okay, this isn't dangerous. You mean to do this? Totally cool. And then starts producing anti-inflammatories. Okay. So that's important to know that that is something that's going to happen if you're going from not moving at all to moving at all. That's going to happen. Your body's going to see the movement as a threat. It's going to throw out inflammation. You're going to have a plan to deal with it because you are going to have a flare plan before you even start because you've been listening to me and you know that it's coming. So we're thinking ahead. All right. Movement also decreases your blood pressure, helps control blood sugar for those of us that are women of a certain age and weight is getting harder and harder to cast off. Even generalized movement can help control our blood sugar. It's going to decrease our cholesterol. It's potentially going to help with our weight if that's something that we are concerned about. It's good for the kicker. It's good for the heart. It increases our bone strength. Helps the noggin. And man, every infection of COVID, we lose 2 IQ points for every infection. So we need all that we can get for the brain. For those of us with chronic pain, we know how hard sleep can be to come by. And the more we move, the better we sleep. It's a great way to de-stress, which is going to lower our pain. It relieves constipation because movement is good for the bowels. And I think most importantly, when we choose movement that is meaningful to us, it gives us purpose. It allows us to experience meaning. And that's what living is, right? I talk all the time about moving beyond pain. If we're going to move beyond pain, we have to find things to live for. We have to find enjoyment and purpose in our lives. And meaningful movement as opposed to unmeaningful movement, like, I mean, bridges are fine, I guess. There's nothing wrong with them. But if I'm not moving in bed, if I'm not rolling over, if I'm not working on getting up, I don't really need to do that. Like, if I'm not having trouble with those activities, I don't really need bridges. We need to be doing activities that help support the activity that we want to do. So if I'm doing bridges so I can walk more, that's not going to happen. If I'm doing bridges so I can roll over easier in bed because I'm so weak I can't do that, then bridges are a good idea. But you see what I'm saying? We got to train for the life we want. And that means oftentimes all of those laying down exercises that we get prescribed at physical therapy, like, they're great to show us that we can do things, but they're not real great at helping us load the dishwasher or go for a walk with Fido, or, even having sex with our significant others. Like, you got to do the thing you want to do to get better at it. All right. So that's why we should do these things. Now, I'm going to go through some of the hows because, let's be honest, I want to give helpful information. I want to get you started, but I also recognize that each and everyone's situation is individual. So this is generic information. You may need to adopt some of this for your situation. Maybe you've got co-conditions. Maybe you've got long COVID. Maybe you've got ME/CFS, right? So you've got chronic fatigue syndrome. Well, for fart's sake, you should not be using, excessive graded exercise. You need to be super, 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 super slow, like me. You got to do heart rate pacing. You got to look into other stuff. You can't just go at this all hog wild like somebody that is only dealing with chronic pain can do. If you've got connective tissue disorders, let's be smart about the way we do this. If you're experiencing heart issues post-COVID, like POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, or IST, which I have, which is inappropriate sinus tach. There are other considerations that you have to take. Okay, so we're going to use our brains, and we're going to remember that Amy on YouTube is giving generalized information. If you want specific information, we'll just book a consult with me and we'll talk through your specific case. But in general, I'm going to take a drink and then I'm going to tell you how we're going to go. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure we have a flare plan, because as we start to try to do more, our bodies are going to revolt. Our pain will probably be higher. We'll probably need to rest more. So we need a plan, because we know that to get our lives back, we're going to have to go through some struggle. Okay, even the best planning, we're still going to struggle a little because of and partially because of the inflammation thing that I talked about in this specific scenario, right? Okay, then we're going to make a pacing plan. If you do not have a pacing plan, then I guarantee you will have a flare, because we have to fit movement into the life that we already have. Okay, if you do not have a flare plan and you do not know what I'm talking about, I have a very quick hour-long class. I will leave the link in the description below. You can take that. If you're like, Amy, what the hell is pacing? You can go to my blog, search pacing. There's tons of blog posts on it, and I have a class on that as well. It will teach you how to break down your life so that you can begin to add more to it. And you can do the things that you want. All right. Then we're going to choose where we start. Please hear me. We are not going to do everything at once, because we will fail and we will get frustrated. So we are going to choose one movement and we're going to begin. Then we're going to be realistic and we're going to start where we're at, not where we want to be, not where we left off, right? You've been in pain for 5 years and you think you're just going to pick up with XYZ activity wherever you left off? No, it does not work that way. I know you want it to. I want it to. It doesn't work that way. I often tell my clients, life is a marathon. And if we have been in bed, if we have been severely downed by our pain so that we're barely doing anything, our meaningful movement is getting back the ability to take an everything shower, get dressed, and eat breakfast without needing to rest. It's our reality. There's nothing wrong with that. That is movement. That is movement, and it's important. And we need to be able to do that before we go back to whatever, the gardening and the playing in the garage, or the playing at the gym, or the swimming in the pool with the master swim team. We have to take steps. We cannot just walk out the door and be like, I'm going to run a marathon today, because that's going to land you in bed. Your nervous system and your tissue are not ready for that. If you have been laying around all day because you're in so much pain, you want to rip your arms off, right? I get it. So we're going to start where we're at and we're going to work towards where we want to go. And we're going to do so with discipline. Okay? We have to use discipline. I know you're a mom and you want to do all this stuff with your kids. You're a wife and you want to do all the stuff that you wanted to do. You're a grandma and you want to do all the stuff with the grandkids. You're finally ready to go back to work and you want to do all the things. I get it. I get it. But we have to work up to it just like we would train for a marathon. We cannot go from 0 to 60 and expect that to go well. If that is your plan, please, please, please expect failure. Then readjust your plan and start over. Okay? We gotta go slow. Part of this is so that, one, we can prove to ourselves that we can do it. 2, we're sneaking up on our nervous system so it doesn't freak the flip out and be like, ah, now you gotta go lay down for 3 weeks. We're trying to avoid that by showing our nervous system and our brain that we are safe to do whatever activity it is that we want, and we're not going to get hurt. That requires some self-talk. That requires some planning. That requires some strategy, right? So that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to remember that these exercises and movement must fit around our daily lives. And if our lives are already full, trying to survive, then we need to choose super tiny things to add to our already big lives. And if these things are adding stress to your life, you got to take something out somewhere else that doesn't have as much meaning or purpose so that you can put this thing back in. You with me? You get it? Are you excited? I hope you're excited. You should be. If you want to learn more about this, you have two options. Well, I mean, you've got a zillion options, but the options that I can offer you are: one, click in the description on the link that says blog post, read more here. And then once you're done reading, look at the very bottom of the page to the right, and it takes you to the next blog post that I wrote. There's like 10 or 12 of these in this series about how do I know that I'm safe to move and what the heck do I do? Okay, so that is your free option. That is your DIY, put it together, do it yourself. Like, I want to make sure people have information that they can use. So that's one way. The other way is this September, I am opening a course called From Rehab to Real Life, which is going to give you an in-depth description and like how to go from the stuff that you do at PT to getting back whatever it is, whatever that movement is that you want. I'm basically taking the information that I got in PTA school about how we get back to living, how we get back to these things, and I'm giving it to you so that you can do it yourself, right? It's all of these principles are things that your PT is using to increase the exercises that they're giving you at PT, but you and I both know that those exercises don't always get us back to the stuff that we want to do. They get us graduated from PT, but then there's this chasm between the exercises that I've done lying down on this table or with these very easy to use TheraBands, but it's not, but I'm nowhere near ready to go back to the gym and take a class. Like, the chasm between that is too big. Or, okay, I can kind of do some of the things in my life, but like, I still can't vacuum. I still can't mow the lawn. I still can't do some of these harder things. I can't carry heavy things, right? This class, From Rehab to Real Life, is going to give you the way to get those things back. So you can click on the link and sign up for that class. And if you are signing up in August or September of 2024, you will get a lesson a week as we go. So like, the whole class won't be available all at once, but every week for 8 weeks, you'll be getting a new lesson. All right. So movement is your way out of pain. Being smart about it is the way that you stay out of pain. Flare plan, pacing plan. Start where you're at, not where you want to be. We're going to work towards where we want. We're going to make room for the things that are meaningful and important to us, and we're going to go slow. Have a fabulous weekend. Add a little bit of movement and see what happens. And I will see you next week.